Roxy look at me crazy, that's how I know I'm going in the right direction. If she looks at me crazy, it means I'm doing something different. Different equals different results. And then I just get to pay attention if they're better different results or good different results. So fired up, got my hot Herbalife tea, got my shake. If you got your Herbalife tea and shake or you had it, put it in the chat thread. If not, you'll get on soon. And happy Monday. So fired up as we get into Triple M Monday morning motivation. We're in the middle of June, you guys. It's basically the middle of the year right now. We're starting off the third quarter of the year after this month. So you're just passing halftime of your 2017. So with that, I want you to be thinking about on this call, you know, what were those things I said in the beginning of the year? Am I going towards them? And like the quote I said that I got from Wayne Dyer when we were doing our fasting call this morning, he said, you keep doing the same thing, progression is impossible. So if you're going in the direction you want to go, your new things are working. If nothing has changed for you, guess what? Third quarter is the perfect time to start. So we're going to be listening to Joel Osteen today, and he's a great pastor. He's out in Houston. We actually want to go to his church next time we're in Houston, and he's going to be talking about what emotion are you living through that's attracting for you. You know, I'm listening to this book right now by Abraham Hicks. Roxy just finished it. I'm doing it next. She talks about your frequency is how you attract. So whatever emotion you're in becomes your attractor being. You know, like you can't tune in to channel 11 on your when you used to watch TV, because you don't watch TV no more, right? You can't tune into channel 11 and expect, you know, it's going to be HBO. That used to be Fox for me when I used to watch TV when I was like 7. I couldn't turn to channel 11 and be like, yo, I'm waiting for HBO. No, that was Fox. So you can't live through certain emotions expecting them to get different things. That's what he's going to be talking about today. So I'm really excited. Get your notebooks out. If you're excited to share at the end, we're going to have you share at the end. If you can't because you're at work or you're disposed at the minute, no problem. Put in the chat thread your biggest takeaway, and we'll read a few out because this is interactive. Everybody's perspective matters. So without further ado, let's get rocking and rolling. If you got your client or team member threads, if you're a coach on the team, put in there, Triple M is live. Where you at? It's time to get it going, because when they see you guys on, the cool kids, you know they want to get on. So without further ado, Joel Osteen, let's get it.
I want to talk to you today about activating faith and not fear. All through the day, we have the choice to believe that either God is in control and good things are in store, or we can go around worried, negative, expecting the worst. I hear people say, I'm afraid I'm going to get laid off. I'm afraid my marriage is not going to last. I'm afraid my children are going to get into trouble. They don't realize it, but they're activating fear instead of faith. Fear and faith have something in common. They both ask us to believe something is going to happen that we cannot see. Fear says that pain in your side is the same thing your grandmother died from. It's going to be the end of you. Faith says that pain is not permanent. It's only temporary. Fear says business is slow. You're going to go under. Faith says God is supplying all of my needs. Fear says you've been through so much, you're never going to really be happy again. Faith says my best days are still out in front of me. Here's the key. Whatever you meditate on is what's going to take root. If you dwell on that fear all day, you let it play again and again in your mind, then you give it a right to become a reality. That's what Job said. The thing I feared came upon me. Fear is using your faith in the wrong direction. Your faith will work in the negative just as well as it will the positive. I was at the doctor's office with our daughter Alexandra one time, and as the doctor was examining her, he began to talk about how bad the flu season was and how he gets it every year. I said, Doctor, do you really get it every year? He said, yeah, Joel, it's just automatic with me. Something about my immune system. He was so convinced he was expecting it. 6 weeks later, we were scheduled to go back for Alexandra's checkup. His office called, said, don't come today. The doctor is out with the flu. I thought his faith is working. He got just what he was believing for. The problem is he was using it in the wrong direction. Just as faith can bring in good things. Fear can bring in negative things. When you go around worried, expecting the worst, it's like you're inviting that into your life. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to get the flu. You just invited the flu. I'm afraid I might get laid off. You just invited a layoff. No, turn it around. Quit inviting defeat, sickness, bad breaks, and start inviting victory into your life. Use your faith in the right direction. Years ago, I was facing a situation that had the potential to turn out badly. It had gone on for months and months. Every morning when I woke up, the first thought that came to my mind is it's not going to work out. It's going to cause you all kinds of heartache and pain. That's the way fear is. It will try to dominate your thought life. If you allow it, fear will keep you awake at night. I was so tempted to be worried and stressed out. One day I heard God say something to me, not out loud, but just an impression down in here. He said, Joel, if you keep worrying and going over all the reasons why it's not going to work out, then because of your worry, it's going to come to pass. But if you will trust me and use that same energy to believe, I will turn it around and use it to your advantage. When I heard that, I gained a new perspective. I realized that fear, worry, negative thinking is not just a bad habit. That allows the negative to become a reality. Read an article in the paper a while back about a 24-year-old Marine. He was about to report to his second tour of duty in Iraq. Before he left, he told his family and friends this would be his last tour. He would not make it out. His family, friends, they tried to encourage him. Don't say that. Yes, you're going to make it out. He said, no, I feel it so strongly. This is going to be the end. Before he left, he wrote farewell letters to his wife and 2 children, telling them goodbye. He was not only convinced in his thinking, but he acted on that fear. 3 months later, while he was on a mission, just like he thought, he hit a landmine and lost his life. The thing he feared came upon him. But I wonder what would have happened if he would have replaced that fear with faith. What if he'd have gone around saying, Father, thank you that no weapon formed against me will prosper. Lord, you promised your angels would watch over me and keep me from dashing my foot against a stone. I don't know, maybe he would still be here. But I know this, when you agree with fear, you are giving what you're fearing the right to come to pass. The scripture talks about how when any 2 of us agree, it shall be done. That's a promise that when we stand in faith with another believer, God will do what He said. Well, I believe that principle is true even in the negative. When the enemy puts a thought in your mind, if you agree, then your agreement is what gives it the power to come to pass. But if you don't agree, you turn it around. The thought says, your children are going to get into trouble. No, I don't agree. My children will be mighty in the land. My children will fulfill their destiny. You just stop that fear from coming to pass. The thought says, you better not go out today. You're going to have an accident. No, I don't agree. God has a hedge of protection around me, a bloodline that the enemy cannot cross. Well, that sickness is going to be what you die from. It's been in your family line for 3 generations. No thanks, I don't agree. With long life, God's going to satisfy me. Here's the key. Don't come into agreement with the fear. If you don't agree, the only way it can come to pass is if God gives it the permission. And if God does, you can rest assured it's not going to work against you, it's going to work for you. Now pay attention to what you're coming into agreement with. When our son Jonathan was a little baby, I was holding him at a restaurant, and while we were eating, this older couple came up and started complimenting us on how good Jonathan was and how quiet he was being. But just before they left, the man turned around and said, but you just wait till he gets to be about 2 years old. He'll turn into a different person. He's good now, but the terrible twos are coming. I wanted to say thank you so much for your encouragement and lifting my spirits. I told Victoria, I don't receive that. I don't agree with that. I am not letting that take root into my spirit. I said for us, it's not going to be the terrible twos. It's going to be the terrific twos. Do you know, we never had a problem when he was 2, 3, 4. He got to be about 10. People started saying, just wait till he gets to be a teenager. You talking about a headache, trouble, hard to get along with. You just wait. Jonathan is almost 18 years old now. Our daughter Alexandra is 14. Do you know they still hadn't started cursing, lying, stealing, fighting? Still hadn't caused us any problems. Next thing people say, you just wait till he gets to be 21. Wait till he's legal, Joel. Wait till he hits 40, that midlife crisis. Wait till he's 75. No, I am not coming into agreement with fear and doubt and bad breaks, disappointments. I'm activating my faith and not my fear. If you expect your children, your loved ones to get into trouble, and to cause you heartache and to barely make it through life, then because you're putting faith in the fear, that allows it to come to pass. You're believing it in. It's like this lady I heard about every night for years and years practically. She thought she heard a burglar downstairs in her kitchen. She would make her husband get up at least once a week and go make sure everything was okay. One night she thought she heard some noise. Honey, wake up. Somebody's down in our kitchen. He got up so routinely, like he had done 1,000 times before. This time when he walked downstairs, he was staring down the barrel of a gun. His eyes got so big. The burglar said, don't make a sound, just give me all your valuables. Gathered up the valuables, gave them to the burglar. The burglar turned around, was about to run off. He said, wait a minute, you can't go yet. You got to come up and meet my wife. She's been expecting you for 30 years. Friends, don't go through life expecting disappointments, bad breaks, disasters. That's putting faith in the fear that allows it to become a reality. 2 Timothy, that was good, wasn't it? 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. The Amplified says, a disciplined mind. In other words, we're not going to overcome fear and live a powerful, victorious life if we're not disciplined in our thought life. That's where the main battle is taking place. Your mind is the bullseye of the enemy's target. If he can control your thoughts, he can control your whole life. If you don't guard your mind, it will default back to these thoughts of fear, worry, anxiety, negativity. Last week, a mother asked me to pray for her son. She said, Joel, I'm so worried. I'm afraid he's going to get into trouble. I'm afraid he's going to start running with the wrong crowd. On and on. I said, is he off course now? She said, no, he's a great kid, straight A student, loving and kind. I'm just afraid it's not going to last. Told her what I'm telling you. Don't come into agreement with that fear. It says in Psalms, God's favor is not for a season, but for a lifetime. When those thoughts try to tell you it's not going to last, it's too good to be true, no, turn it around. Father, I want to thank you that your favor on my life, on my children, on my career, on my future, it's not temporary, it's not seasonal, it doesn't come and go, but God, your favor is for a lifetime. You've got to be disciplined in your thought life. Your thoughts are extremely powerful. Heard about this lady that bought a 6-foot plant for her bedroom. It was a ficus tree. She had plants all over the house. She was very experienced with plants. And one morning she woke up, looked at that plant. Out of the blue, this thought said, this plant is not going to make it. It's going to die. It was as healthy as can be. Nothing wrong with it. There was no reason to believe that thought. But she made the mistake of thinking of it over and over. She even told her husband, I'm afraid this plant is not going to make it. I'm afraid I wasted my money. He said, why would you say that? It's perfectly healthy. All your other plants are doing just fine. She said, no, something just tells me it's not going to make it. About 3 weeks later, she noticed the leaves were starting to turn yellow. A couple of days later, all the leaves had fallen off of it. Week or two later, the whole plant had totally withered up and died. It was amazing to her. One day, she was praying. She said she heard God say something to her right down in here. He said, "You killed that plant with your thoughts." Sent chill bumps up and down her spine. When we agree with the fear, it can come to pass. Later, she told her husband, "I know this sounds totally crazy, but I think I killed the plant with my thoughts." He looked at her very strangely, said, "All I can say is, I hope you're thinking good thoughts about me." But I wonder, how many times have we killed our dreams with our thoughts? How many times have we stopped God's blessings, favor, healing, restoration, because we're dwelling on the fear? A lot of people like this lady go around with a nagging feeling that something's not going to work out. I'm afraid my business is going to dry up. I'm afraid I'm not going to stay healthy. I'm afraid my child's going to get off course. Because they're not disciplined in their thought life, they allow that fear to take root. On my father's side of the family, there's a long line of heart disease, high blood pressure, hypertension. Well, that's what my father died from, and his father, and others in our family. It would be easy for me to let that take root. Think, hey man, that's just my lot in life. I'm afraid I'll probably get heart disease too. No, I've learned to be disciplined. I'm not going to activate fear. I'm going to activate faith. Father, I want to thank you that heart disease, high blood pressure stops with me. I will live out all of my days in good health. See, don't agree with the fear. Agree with what God says about you. My grandmother on Daddy's side of the family was a very feisty woman. She reminded me of Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies. She was one of a kind. And later in life, she went to the doctor and he said, "I'm sorry to inform you, Ms. Osteen, but you have the very beginning stages of Parkinson's disease." Well, that did not set well with Grandmother Osteen. She didn't even know what Parkinson's disease was, but she knew enough to know she didn't want to have anything to do with it. She bristled back, stood up tall. She's way less than 5 feet. She said, "Listen here, doctor, I'll not have it. I refuse to have it. I'm too old to have it." My grandmother went home, and do you know, she never had any symptoms of Parkinson's disease. She lived out her days in good health.
Oh, man, that was powerful. Gave me goosebumps. All right, let's get it. Rox, what you got for us?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I love Joel Osteen. I really, really love listening to him. So some of my biggest takeaways, I loved everything I loved everything he was talking about, but I really, really enjoyed how he kept on talking about the discipline of your thoughts and what you give power to. It's just like fear. If you give power to fear, it's not that fear has power over you, it's the fear itself. And that for me is just like everything, because personally for me, I've been going through some stuff for the past couple of weeks, and I've started to listen to a lot of Joel Osteen and to a lot of Abraham Hicks, and really activating what I am expecting as far as in faith-based rather than fear-based. And so I really love that. But I love when he talked about when you go expecting what you don't want, you're going to welcome more of what you don't want. And I know for me, it's been like that before, where I don't want to hear this or just all of the bad stuff, but because I'm feeling it and you're kind of putting it out there into the future, when it comes, that you're anticipating it the whole time. And so that for me was really powerful, because again, the more you speak about what you don't want, the more you're focused on what you don't want, the more you're receiving it, because again, the universe, the law of attraction, the vibrations, whatever it may be, doesn't know the difference. It does know, though, the energy that you're putting out and the anticipation of what you're putting out. So I thought that was really, really powerful. And I really love when he said, when you give into your fear and you're allowing for it to come to, I just said that. Never mind. I just read the same thing. But another one that I really loved is when he talked about being disciplined in your thought life. That was powerful, because our whole life is made of thoughts. Everything inside of our life all comes from thought, and our whole life is based on that. And everything around us came from a thought. So if we can become more disciplined inside of our thoughts, even for myself, like the more that I get to welcome the things that I do want. And he said, learn to be disciplined and activate faith. Don't activate fear. And the minute that fear creeps in or fear comes in or any negative thought, switch it around and say, thank you for X, Y, and Z of what you do want. And even though at times it may be hard to believe, but the more you do it, the more present it'll be in your life. And the more you do it, then it becomes like a natural. And those are like my biggest takeaways.
Nice. Great stuff. Love that. Man, this was such a powerful message. For me, it just really gave me confirmation of how powerful our thoughts are, that even when they're fear-based, they still work. Mm-hmm. You know, when I expected bad things to happen and then they happen, now I can look back and see that's the power of my thoughts. Even though it was negative that came about, my thoughts on the negative brought about the negative. So it's like understanding that a bike can work. Oh man, this bike can really take me places. Maybe it takes me down the wrong street, but now I find out that this bike can really take me places. So now what do? Now that I understand the law of the bike, the law of the thoughts, now it's my responsibility to direct it. You can't get mad at a car if it takes you down the wrong street, if you turn the car down the wrong street. Now, what you can get mad at is if you know and you still do. So after this, today, you can't get mad anymore. Because if you didn't know in the past, unconscious, now you're conscious. If you've been thinking these thoughts and the negative things have been happening, now you know why. Now, let me give you a few tips on why that might be happening. So this is another thing that maybe you didn't know and I didn't know. Because if you heard, he started talking about that person in the store that said those things about his kid. And I don't know about you, but when I used to hear about the terrible twos, because I have little brothers and sisters, I used to believe that. I'd be like, oh man, it's coming, they're cute right now. So what in your life have you been spoken over, have you received and agreed with, whether you know it or not? Think about the TV you're watching, the movies you're watching, the music you're listening to, and the people you're around. Because if you think about it, you came into this universe only being afraid of loud noises and falling. Those are the only two reactions that are born in. Everything else is learned, whether consciously or unconsciously. You weren't born knowing how to speak English. You learned that. You weren't even born with the accent you speak with. And yes, you do have an accent. You weren't born with the habits you have. You learned those. So what else could you maybe have learned that has been causing you to think a certain way that may be bringing some things that you don't want in your life? My family has a history of this. We're just big boned, or we're just skinny, or we're just lazy, or we're just morning people, or we're just night people, or we're just unattractive, or we always get hurt, or we're whatever. What are those thoughts for you that you looked around and said, that's the way I am? What did you see on TV or on your phone, or somebody said to you that you said, you know what? Women are supposed to act like this. Men are supposed to act like this. This is how we are. And you agreed with it, and then it came to pass. So I'm going to give you a hint. Now that you know that's the truth, what are you going to start to put intentionally in your life that's going to have you agreeing with some things that are going to empower you? You know, I tell people all the time, because I still treat physical therapy. I have my patients. I go in there, they're watching TV. I'm like, why are you watching stuff that was designed to sell you something? You know that, right? TV, movies, music, everything that you consume from those mediums are designed to sell you something. They got commercials. They want to sell you a ticket to buy it, whatever it is. So, of course, they're going to tell you things, but they're not going to tell you things of your greatest self. You know why? Because they're going to tell you things that are easy and fun to do because you like easy and fun from a survival point of view. You want to have the high-calorie food. You want to sit down and chill all day. That's your survival part of you as a human being. That's wired into you. So they're going to feed you that. But that doesn't feed your highest self that says, hey, I eat for health. Hey, I want to make a difference on the planet. Hey, I want to be productive and efficient and make a difference in my day. That's your highest self. So now that you know that, what are you listening to? What are you watching? Who are you around? I guarantee you want to change your life? Get your TV out of your house. You never see a TV in here. You know what's right in front of our couch? Books. Get some things that are designed to better you. That may be a little harder at first, but that are going to better you to have you agreeing with some things. I am great. I am smart. I am beautiful. I am worthy. I am work loving. I am abundant. Put those things and then start agreeing with that. I am. Yeah. I am looking good today. I am. Put that in your life and then agree with that. So let's get a few shares. I got first one in the chat bar from Selena. He was my first book, and it helped me with personal development. He speaks highly of God's favor. When we live in his favor and pray in gratitude instead of fear, things going wrong, that's when God works. When we know whose we are and whose we aren't, we live in favor. Victory is won. We should live each day as a victorious life. The mind is in the bullseye for the enemy. It definitely is. It is battled every day. With that weekend, I stopped and prayed knowing I was in God's favor. Love that. All right, you guys. Gladys from Arizona, we need to learn how to replace fear with faith. I like that one too. Let's get it. Let's get 1 or 2 shares from the live Zoomers. Give me a smile or a thumbs up if you're excited to share. Our money. What's up, bro? Give me your biggest takeaway.
My name is Armani from the IE, and one of my biggest takeaways was he was talking about not letting the negative come into your mind as far as letting it affect you. So for him telling him about his kids are going to be like awful at the 2s and the 10s and the teens and 20s, I get that a lot at work because I'm just constantly surrounded by people who are negative. Like, my manager's pretty negative. The customers are negative. So for me, that really hit me because it's really focusing on just keep it going and not letting it affect my day, because then it's just going to but just going to affect my day negatively the rest of the day. So just keeping that strong faith.
Nice. Keeping that strong faith. Love it. Awareness is the first step. Great share. Next, give me a thumbs up or a smile if you're excited to share. We got room for 1 or 2 more. Let's get it. Condolari, what you got?
What up, you guys? Happy Monday morning. So one of the things I liked, and it touched base, is what Armani was just talking about, is that negative speak, what people will say, what will they put into your life, what will they do? And that is key, because it ties into a conversation I had with my best friend 3 weeks ago, and we went on a back and forth about Herbalife, and she was trying to put in my head that Herbalife was a pyramid scheme, and I stood my ground, and I was like, no, it's not. Like, I don't care what you say or what you do. So people are constantly going to try to put stuff into your world, and you have to learn what you are willing to receive and what you're willing to say. You know what? I get what you're saying, but I don't have to accept that, because that is key. It is. If they put it into your life and you accept it, then the universe acknowledges that you accept it, and so that's what it's going to give. And the second point he hit on that just really just hit me right in the center of my third eye, he said, how many times have I killed my own dream? That was like key. That was epic to me, because I had to start thinking, how many dreams have I killed? And I can tell you that Herbalife is one dream that I will not kill. I have been in June of last year, I sent my upline half of my money for my membership. Herbalife is one of the things that I have stayed committed to ever in my life. I've never been this committed. A year later, and I'm still staying in the game, and I'm still trying to make Herbalife and my next level happen in my life. So you can never give up. This is one dream I will never let die, ever.
Let's get it. I love that. How many dreams have you killed? I love that. Because we think, oh, man, they killed it. Oh, man, they're the reason. It's like, how many dreams have you killed by agreeing with what they said? They could say it. People going to always say something. They always going to have something to say. But what are you agreeing with that made the killing of the dream happen? That was fire. All right. We got room for 1 more. Give me a thumbs up or a smile if you got a share. Let's get it. Sarah, what you got for us?
Hey, guys. One thing I wanted to add to the aspect of, not having people be negative in your life, sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes there's people that say you do have a boss or a coworker who's negative, and you have no choice but to be in that position until you have that opportunity with Herbalife or whatever else you have going on in your life to leave that situation. What I do in this basis is try to be positive inside of myself. So even though this person is giving off that negative vibe, trying to bring me down, they're not doing it intentionally. it's their attitude that kind of exuviates that negative vibe out into the world. It's your job and your responsibility to keep your mentality positive. You can't let people bring you down because of their personal issues. So that's what I would say, is because sometimes you can't just say, they're being negative, I'm writing them off right now. You don't necessarily have that opportunity. So think of another way. I have some people in my work that, bring in that negative, and so I spin it as a positive and look at the positive in my work and not try to dwell on what they're doing. Oh, what's wrong with them? Oh, did I do something wrong? Are they mad? Did I do something? Oh my God, now they're not talking to me. Most of the time, or it never has to do with you. There's something going on inside of their life that's exuberating this negativity that then harms their business. Don't let it harm your business.
That was powerful, Sarah. I love that. She said, it's your responsibility to stay positive. It's not their responsibility to make you positive. That was powerful. Great stuff, you guys. All right, we're going to have a great week. I'm speaking that over you, and you can agree with it. It's going to be the most epic week ever, and we're going to make a difference each and every day starting with us. It's our responsibility. So share the link once it's posted. Share the flyer. Take a selfie. Take a picture of Joel Osteen. I don't know what you need to do. Share a quote. You got to pay forward this information, this wisdom, this knowledge, and this energy. Pay it forward each and every week when we start. Thank you guys so much that we're online. Thank you guys, everybody's watching the recording. You guys, it makes the most difference, because if we did this by ourselves, it wouldn't nearly be the same energy. So let's get it. Time to have an amazing week. Where you at? Let's go.
Monday.